Welcome to the talk towards gender equality in the EO and GI sector. My name is Barbara Riedler from the University of Salzburg, today representing the initiative Women in Copernicus. Gender equality is a topic of increasing interest. It is not only an SDG on its own. The European Commission also launched last year the Gender Equality Strategy. And very prominent in the space sector in the last weeks in media was the ESA astronaut selection, where they really actively encouraged women to apply. When it comes to education, this topic is included in SDG 4 with the aim to provide equal access to education for everybody. And this is not only an ethical obligation, it is on the long term also a way to minimize poverty. And gender gap in educational choices, of course, also influences later stages of career. And factors that do influence the choices are manifold. They start from gender stereotypes and gender role beliefs, up to missing role model functions of teachers, a general lower confidence or poorer perception of STEM abilities in girls, but also deals with expectations for further career. While girls have the tendency to favor society-oriented work, which is unfortunately not coupled with STEM disciplines, in a perception at least, boys do choose disciplines which later on will have higher salaries, which are coupled with STEM subjects. So this leads to the fact that there is a gender gap very distinct in the STEM disciplines. And this even increases dramatically with career position. And unfortunately is also evident in new fields. For example, only 22% of all AI programmers are women. The EO and GI sector is a sector that has a high demand for technical STEM skills. But as it's rather new, there are no statistics available. What we do know is that there are different initiatives focusing on different aspects of this sector. But what was missing is the Copernicus program, the European Union's Earth Observation Program. And that was a reason why the initiative Women in Copernicus was launched. Having just celebrated its first anniversary, it's a really rather new initiative. With the overall aim to make women in the Copernicus ecosystem more visible, and through bringing women to the forefront, inspire girls and young women to join the sector. We're trying to achieve that with different pillars. On the one hand side, awareness raising, then networking, cooperation, and survey and research. As the last one was actually our first steps, I'll start with that one. So last year, we issued a survey with more than 50 questions in 7 different languages, to which more than 460 women answered. Additionally, 100 of these women also answered to open questions, and some of them provided testimonial tools. So if you're interested in the results, they are available on the website. Today is the focus only on the facilitators and barriers during education. As a starting point, who are the participants of this survey? So that are women with mainly STEM background, reaching 90%, mainly between 30 and 50 years, and predominantly from the academic world. When asked about facilitators and support experienced during education and career, 3 factors that are dealing with education were rated. Rated highest was the support of family during study, followed by encouragement during study, and a general positive influence from society during that time. And what is evident in all 3 of those ones, and most prominent in the encouragement during studies, is that there is obviously a change. So women, young women below 30 years, they experienced much more encouragement. And the highest rated, the support of family during the study time, is together with current support of family for these women, one of the most influential facilitator they experienced in their whole career. We also did ask women about barriers for choosing STEM education. And the two factors that were rated highest were stereotypes in society and missing female role models. These two factors are independent of age, educational background, and working sector of these women, and are well in line with other studies. Culture and media, the third rated highest, was identified as barrier especially by women older than 40 years, while lack of confidence was a barrier identified mainly by women younger than 30 years. The two factors perceived as least important barriers were difference in education and wording. And especially the wording was really not very important for women with STEM background, but a little bit more important for women with a different background, maybe because they are more sensitive to this topic. When asked about barriers experienced during education and career, gender imbalance was the most prominent one, followed by gender bias, lack of self-confidence, and motherhood. And this being a minority was experienced during studies, in their own organization, and in the EO sector as a whole. And in the last two ones, this topic was more important, and that is in line with the idea of this leaking pipeline effect. In addition to these rating scale questions, we also asked open questions. They are a little bit more challenging, but can provide additional insights of reasons for gender disparity. So from all the mentioned factors or experiences, we grouped them into three categories: discrimination, concerns and fears, stereotypes, and beliefs. So during the STEM educational choice, factors that are related to these male-oriented patriarchal systems were mentioned most often, followed by family, both influence of all own family, traditional values, but also fear of imbalance of private and professional lives in a later stage of career. Connected with the career itself, again, these male-oriented systems were the most important factor, followed by issues related to perception or lack of self-confidence. So this feeling not being good enough up to an imposter syndrome does really play an important role. If you're more interested in the personal experiences and view of women, we issued a series of video talks, testimonial talks about different aspects. So trying to bring together these two results, so concerns and fears, their family is the most important one. In the open questions, but also in the rating scale questions, motherhood was identified as a barrier in career. A quite common barrier is this lack of self-confidence. That was also identified by 33% of the women as a barrier for choosing STEM education, and overall mentioned as one of the main factors for missed opportunities during career. The most common and strongest barrier is this male-oriented systems or being a minority. So gender imbalance was the main barrier in career. The lack of female role models, a factor for not choosing STEM education, but also female role models were not identified as an important facilitator, maybe because they were not existing. So that leads me to the proposed solution for minimizing these barriers. I think we all agree that taking care of women's motivation is an investment in the future. So motivating young ones to reach skills equality, supporting women during their early stage of career to reduce occupational segregation, and in general, opening up the GI and EO sector to skilled female talents can have an impact on the economic development. So within the initiative Women in Copernicus, we focused to three main solutions that were mentioned among many others by all the women of the survey. So on the one hand side, the visibility of role models and existing women. And second, the establishment of a network of women dedicated to exchange. So we issued last year at the International Women's Day, for example, a campaign to really make the women and their achievements within the Copernicus ecosystem visible. We try to disseminate the results of the study, but also the topic in general as broad as possible. Last year, 19 events, also some really high-ranking ones as the European Space Week. So if you're interested, the recordings and presentations are all available on the website. And the next event, in this case, a scientific conference, will be the ISPRS starting on the 11th of July. We also issued a webinar series with the topic Bridging GI and Space Initiatives, Fostering Gender Equality. There we really try to bring together these initiatives that all deal with more or less the similar topic. So if you're interested in the presentations of the different initiatives, but also some really, really interesting discussions, the recordings are available on the website as well. And last but not least, we try to build up a community and network, both on social media, but also through a mailing list where we have now more than 300 women registered. Also, we tried with the overall aim to make women more visible. We issued 30 portraits on the Wick Gallery. And that leads me actually to thank these women that were all participating in the survey, providing interviews, or simply are really active in the network. And especially to the Wick core team, where another 7 really amazing women participate. So thanks for your attention. If you want to be part of Women in Copernicus, these are the options, and we would really welcome you.